Bharatam Mahabharatam Dharma Adharma Sangharshanam Pakshi Prani Manava Cha Deva Dharma Adharma Panchalika Jnana Prabhasita Divya Jivam Sarve Sarva Mahamritam Sarve Sarva Mahamritam Bharatam Yudhishthira has been coronated as the king, but out of his goodness, he surrenders this and once again gets the situation back to the same place. Where it lead to confusion and conflict. A king or one who wishes to rule, there is a saying in Tamil, Nallavan venuma, vallavan venuma. That means, do you want a good man or a capable man? Maybe you want a good man as your neighbor. But you want a capable man, a competent man to run the nation. It is not that Yudhishthira is not competent. It is not that he is not capable. It is not that he lacks intelligence to do that. But he read too many scriptures and he's got too much of bookish goodness in him, which does not allow his intelligence to function. Instead of doing what is good for the people, he does what is good for his conscience. This is Yudhishthira right through. Continuously, he is seeking disaster after disaster. It doesn't matter how all the people around him work to place him in a good place, he will make a disaster out of it again. Not with any evil intention, with goodness. Yudhishthira, a good man on a good man, as tedious as only good can get. But when life gets mean, you will want a good man. Yudhishthira, a good man on a good man, as tedious as only good can get. But when life gets mean, you will want a good man. So, that's Yudhishthira. A whole situation for which so many people paid so dearly, and so many people risked their lives, and some lost their lives. When the situation comes by, he again puts it back to square one with his goodness. An opportunity like this, Duryodhana is not going to miss. So once again, he starts plotting. Just to give you an insight into all the things that he would get into. Duryodhana, Karna and Dhritarashtra, the king, meet. He forces a meeting and he is in a highly agitated state. He says, I was born to be a king. I am not going to take instructions from anybody. If you don't let me somehow get rid of these Pandavas, I will commit suicide. And since he came to know that Pandavas have come alive because they were dead for a year, since he came to know that they have come alive, there's been only one thing on his mind: how to re-engineer the palace of wax in some other form. He still does not know how it failed and why it failed. So, he's ranting away. He says, only because they have the friendship of Drupada, they think they're strong. Let us invest all our wealth if we need to and somehow buy Drupada over. Once Drupada is on our side, we can openly kill these 5 guys. There is nobody to defend them. So Karna reminds him, Krishna is on their side. The Yadavas, who are Krishna's men, they're almost known to be not mortal kind in battlefield. So he reminds him, on that day of Swayamvara, any one of the Yadavas, Krishna himself, Satyaki, Uddhava, any one of them could have shot that fish. I want you to know, any one of them, ordinary warriors in the Yadava clan could have shot it. But they did not shoot it because Krishna forbade them. Thinking of corrupting Drupada when his daughter is married to them, this is childish plan. But Duryodhana is not done, he has many plans. He says, we can poison their food. They are living here in the palace, we can easily poison their food. Dhritarashtra and Karna say nothing. Then he sees they're not taking the plan and he goes on. We can hire the most beautiful woman in the country, seduce all the 5 Pandavas and turn Draupadi against them. There's nothing like breaking a home. If you break a home, then it is done. They don't buy it, they just look at him. Then he says, the two sons of Madri, Nakula and Sahadeva, if we separate them somehow, we can corrupt them in some way, I'm sure. If we turn the brothers against brothers, instead of being 5, if they become 3 and 2, we can do them in. They don't buy it. Then he says, Krishna has a weakness for women. We can corrupt him somehow. And I know before I married Bhanumati, his own wife, he had a kind of a soft corner for her. We could try something. That's how far he goes. Then Dhritarashtra says, my son, your heart is poisoned. You're full of venom. Leave this. Let us think what is the solution. This is not going to work. If we kill them, he's not against killing. He's only thinking of how practical it is. If we kill them, there could be a revolt in Hastinapur. People could come out on the streets. That will not be good for us. And I want you to remember, in the past, Drupada has routed the Kaurava army once. The Kuru army has been defeated by Panchalis. And once again, now fired by the passion of this relationship, he will again come at us. Along with the Yadavas, we stand no chance. This is not the way to go. But Duryodhana is not done with his plans. He said, I'll come up with something else. Then they meet along with Bhishma, Drona, Kripacharya, Vidura, all the doyens of the Kuru court. Bhishma tells him, this is not it. I am telling you, Pandavas are not defeatable in a fair fight. Killing your brothers is the last thing that must be on your mind. Already you have brought so much disrepute to yourself because of the wax palace. Not only to yourself, to your father and the king and the Kuru dynasty, that the brothers are trying to burn the brothers down. A man does not die when his spirit leaves the body. A man dies when his reputation is lost. Still there is a chance for you. Just allow Yudhishthira to be the king. He is a fair man. He will not rub it in on you in any way. He will treat you well. You see what he did just now. I coronate him and he takes you as an equal. He will not make it nasty for you. He will treat you as a brother. Learn to live as a brother. There is a chance for you to regain your own reputation and find a place, a good place in history. This is the turning point for you. You have to make the right decision now. But this not just here, all along, in a dozen important situations it continues. Every time there is a turn to take, Duryodhana compulsively takes the wrong turn. It doesn't matter how many people advise him, he is hell-bent on taking the wrong turn. His advisors, his friends, elders, it doesn't matter who tells him, he will take the wrong turn anyway. Then, seeing that Bhishma is voicing what he wants to, Dronacharya says, One thing I want you to know is, Pandavas are not easily defeatable even in foul play. I know Arjuna, I have trained him, he is as good as me. He can shoot you dead in his sleep. When he's asleep, he can shoot you dead. He has that kind of power within himself. Don't try this. This will invite death for you, your brothers, and probably for all of us. Kripacharya says similar things. Vidura sees that there is no point trying to convince Duryodhana, so he plays on the emotions of Dhritarashtra. He says, "Oh brother, you remember what a sweet childhood we had." Dhritarashtra and Vidura and Pandu grew up together. Three of us, what a wonderful childhood we had, how joyful we were, how loving we were, how you loved Pandu, and how can we do this to Pandu's children? Pandu will look down on you from heaven and curse you and your children forever. Dhritarashtra shook. So Vidura realized he's hit it and he wants to press it on. He further tried to rake this emotion between him and Pandu. But Vidura knew Dhritarashtra very well, but still he underestimated him in his ability to put on an act and continue with his attachment for his son. Dhritarashtra said, all the elders, Bhishma, Drona, Kripacharya, Vidura, there can be no better counselors than these. I have the best counselors that any king can ever have. They are saying the best things to us. It is in our well-being that they are saying this. It is for the well-being of the Kuru dynasty that they are saying this. My son, you must do the right thing. See, as a king, he can just tell him what to do. But no, he will not tell him what to do. He will tell him, you must do the right thing, and leaves it open. Duryodhana gets up and walks out of the meeting, which is an unthinkable thing to do. When the king is sitting there and Bhishma, who is referred to as Pitama, the eldest there in the Kuru court, is sitting there, to get up and walk away from the meeting is an unthinkable thing. But Duryodhana gets up and walks away. So the die is set. Either the Pandavas should die or they should leave. But then Krishna steps in. From here on, Krishna plays an important role in everything that happens. He takes an active role and counsels them and says, okay, I understand these people cannot live together here, but it is fair that you must give them half the kingdom. Let them go and they have their half. Let the Kauravas, Duryodhana and his brothers rule in Hastinapur. Let Yudhishthira take another half and make his own nation. Bhishma is against this because his allegiance to the nation is such, he does not want to split the country at any cost. So he resists. And he goes to all the elders in Hastinapur and says, all of you must intervene. The nation is going to be cut into two pieces. The elders said, when you took that stupid vow, you did not consult us. Now why are you consulting us? Do it yourself. Because they all knew it is heading for it. Let him bear the pain of cutting the nation into two. So it came upon Bhishma to cut the land that he loved into two pieces. And he told Dhritarashtra, it's all right, split the country, let them have one part and let the Kauravas rule in Hastinapur. So Dhritarashtra called the five Pandava brothers. In the full assembly of the court, he gave a fair cut. The cut was like this. He told them, I will give you Kandavaprastha. Kandavaprastha was the ancient capital of the Kuru dynasty. Pururava, the first of the Kauravas, who was the son of Buddha, if you remember, got a curse from the rishis and the whole place went down into ruins and the place dried up and became like a desert. It was an abandoned city, fallen apart, ruined. Nothing grew around it except thorns. That was the gift that was given to the Pandavas. But Yudhishthira, being who he is, he dutifully accepted this and took his brothers, his wife, and was leaving. Krishna intervened and he said, now to make it fair, it is best that half the gold and the cattle and the horses and the chariots and the mulls means the wrestlers. The wrestlers are very important. If you want to train an army, you need the people who work in the gymnasium. The mulls and whoever else wants to go with the Pandavas, the blacksmiths and the goldsmiths and whoever else wants to go with them, let them go with them. No compulsion. No compulsion to stay, no compulsion to go. This was unexpected. But right now, they were trying to make the scene look like it's a very fair division. They're taking the best part and they're giving an abandoned part which is of no use to anybody. They believe if they go there anyway they will die, and anyway Duryodhana has plans for them. He does not intend that they just go away. So they had to part with the gold, the horses, the cattle, and lot of people decided to go with the Pandavas. This convoy left for Kandavaprastha. After days and days of walking and many people dying on the way, they reached Kandavaprastha. Till then, the brothers were enthusiastic. When they saw the place, the desolation of the place, their hearts sank and Bhima became furious. Bhima, born of the wind, a restless force to reckon with, can be led by a mountain or a hill, a valley or a mole, can make the oceans rise and roar, but cannot even lift a pebble, a lovable bubble. Bhima, born of the wind, a restless force to reckon with, can be led by a mountain or a hill, a valley or a mole, can make the oceans rise and roar, but cannot even lift a pebble, a lovable bubble. He raged, I want to kill that Duryodhana and his brothers. Is this the place to give us? You know, he's the son of wind. He just flies off, always. All the other brothers became quiet. Now they saw what they have landed up with in the middle of nowhere, a cursed city. Then Krishna said, and to think that the old man Bhishma sanctions this And your Guru Drona and Kripacharya allows this to happen. And very irreverently, which is very strange for him, very irreverently he said, the people who have brought this upon you, they are inviting death with their open arms. It's not far away. He is including, for the first time, Bhishma, Drona, Kripacharya, Dhritarashtra, everybody in that death business. It is no more just Duryodhana. So exhausted from journey, all the people who traveled with them and the Pandavas lie down in the open, in the desert and fall asleep. Krishna alone sits there, waits for everybody to go down. Then he walks about, feeling the place out. Then he raises his head, facing the sky. In a tongue which is older than the sun that burns in the sky, he calls for Indra. He says, Indra, I summon you. And after whatever descriptions of how he arrived, of light and thunder and everything, and Indra arrived, Krishna said, you have to raise this city with your magic. If you raise this city, we will name this Khandavaprastha as Indraprastha. This will be your city and it should be the most beautiful city that the world has seen. And a magic spread across. Vishwakarma was called. Vishwakarma is the architect of Indra. He came and when he was ordered to raise the city, his ethereal body spread itself like a blanket across the city and the city gently rose as everybody slept. Its walls, its towers, its palaces, its courts, its homes just rose. The magic of it was witnessed only by Indra and Krishna. And when they woke up in the morning, they woke up in a beautiful city. They went to sleep in a desolate desert and they woke up in a beautiful city and this news spread across like wildfire. Pandavas have raised a city overnight. Suddenly, Pandavas were seen by common people, godlike from that moment onwards. They were no more seen as human beings. Already there were stories about them, that they came back from the dead. The story spread, these people died, went to Devaloka, and they have transformed themselves into gods and they have come back and now they've raised the city overnight. So Indraprastha became the most beautiful city. Even today, Indraprastha is the capital of India. Indraprastha is one part of New Delhi. That's where it rose. And that continued to remain the capital city of various dynasties. Even the invaders who came from outside chose to rule from Indraprastha. And even today, the corridors of power are carved out into Indraprastha and still lives on. I don't know if it's still that magical. Then Krishna and Arjuna, this is the time that they really bonded. Many lifetimes they have seen together as Nara Narayana, but in this life, this is the time after Indraprastha that they spent time together and bonded. They went out riding spent days and nights sitting on river banks and talking and discussing and understanding various things that Arjuna needed to understand. This was a time of bonding for them that once again Arjuna consciously bonded with Krishna in this life. And Krishna said, it is time we extend the city and build many other things. So they were in the Kandava Prastha or the Kandava Vana, which was a thick jungle, and they were sitting in the shade of a beautiful tree on the banks of Yamuna. Krishna said, we will have to burn this forest down. Arjuna said, it is such a beautiful forest and it's so full of life, how can we burn it down? So Krishna said, now that you have chosen to be kings, you must bear the burden of civilizing the world. It is something that you have to carry upon your heads. There is no way, there is no glory of being a king without the responsibility and the burden of civilizing the world. And that needs brutal action. And he and Arjuna together, they burned this forest down. And Krishna tells Arjuna, you must kill every creature that tries to escape the fire. Arjuna says, why kill them? Let them go. He says, if you let an enemy go, he will return. You don't let an enemy go. If you let him go, he will come back tomorrow. You want to live and rule this nation in peace, you don't let your enemies go. So, in this whole process, they kill every other creature and they acquire certain amount of enmity because they kill all the snakes and one particular snake escapes and that comes back to cause trouble, as Krishna said. Said, an enemy whom you let go today, he will come back tomorrow. And he came back and really bothered them much later. From this also, a man comes out who did not belong to this land. His name is Maya, or they don't know his name, they just call him Maya. So Maya came out and pleaded, please don't kill me. And I have great skills to build, I am a great builder. In my nation, in the land or in the world from which I come, I am a builder, I am an architect. I can build a great assembly hall for you, the kind of assembly hall that humans have not seen in this part of the world. Please do not take my life. Arjuna looked at Krishna, drawn and ready. Krishna said, yes, let him be, he'll be useful for you. And Maya came out and built the Maya Sabha, or a courthouse or an assembly hall for which there was no match anywhere. An exquisite description of how this assembly hall was. He made glass panes with crystal, thin sheets of crystal where people could look through but they wouldn't know it is there. You must understand, these are days when nobody had seen glass. So when guests came, they walked into it thinking it's open doorways. And of all the people, Duryodhana walked into it. A very proud man, when he knocks his head on something, you're in for trouble. So, Indraprastha grew and everybody started moving because it's such a beautiful and prosperous city. All the talent started moving towards Indraprastha. People started vacating other cities, the best of people started coming to Indraprastha. Half of Hastinapura travelled anybody who was worth anything started moving to Indraprastha, and once again the Kaurava heart started burning, that everybody is moving towards Indraprastha. Everybody wants to go there. Even Duryodhana's brothers wanted to go and see, which made him so wild. But then the inevitable thing happened. Narada came. When Narada comes, trouble always came in the form of goodness. Narada came. When all the five brothers prostrated in front of him in the presence of Krishna, Narada once again brought back this issue. He said, "Now you have become prosperous." And he told them a story about two Rakshasas, Sunda and Asunda. These are brothers who were bonded very strongly. And they built a huge kingdom for themselves and they ruled. They loved each other very much and their influence and power kept growing. So, certain other people who thought they should not grow like this sent a woman who was a Gandharvi. Her name was Tilottama. Tilottama arrived, a very ravishingly beautiful woman, and both the brothers were drawn to her. She made sure both of them developed substantial interest in her. And then when it came to the crux, she said, "Whoever is the strongest among you, I will marry them, that person." So immediately they got to a fight. Both were equally strong and they killed each other. Narada told this story to the Pandavas and he said, Tilottama was also a dark beauty like Panchali. Now, you are not two, you are five. Invariably, when you're in hardship, you will not fight. As well-being grows, you will fight for this woman. So, whatever the law that Krishna has set for you must be followed absolutely. Till then, they lived in Hastinapura and all this intrigue going on, politics going on. This rule that Krishna set for them, that Draupadi has to live with one brother for 1 year and nobody else can go near her at that time. If they do, they will be banished, was not really practiced because they were not in any stable situations. Now that you're in your own palace, you must follow this. Narada established this in the presence of Krishna. And the only one who complained was Bhima. Then a situation happened. People were happy, the city was beautiful and getting bigger by the day, teeming with activity and talent. And they had a fabulous palace and above all, this assembly hall that the Maya built was the talk of the world. People were traveling from long distances just to see this hall. Then Narada also said, now that you're positioned like this and Krishna is here wanting to establish dharma in the Kshatriya world, it is time that you perform a Rajasuya Yajna. A Rajasuya Yajna means it is a ritual performed to establish the king as the king of kings. You send the message out that this king has right now become powerful enough, fit enough to be the king of kings. Either you accept or you fight, one way or the other. Or in other words, they're transforming a king into an emperor. Yudhishthira said, where is this needed? We are happy in Indraprastha. Why should we go and invade other people? Why should we force or coerce other people to take us as their superiors? Where is the need? I have no such ambition. So Narada said, it's not about you. Your father has still not made it to heaven. He is still in the land of Yama. The reason is, he does not have his own biological children. You are his children. Unless you do the Rajasuya, he cannot raise to the Devaloka or to the land of gods. So that fixed it. And Yudhishthira agreed, and they sent out the message of Rajasuya. Rajasuya yajna was not even happening once a century, it happened once in many centuries. So once in a way, a king acquired enough prominence to claim that he can perform Rajasuya yajna. It is the biggest thing that can happen to a Kshatriya. Invitations were sent forth. Where invitations were refused, armies were sent. The four brothers, Bhima, Arjuna, Nakula, Sahadeva went in different directions and conquered land after land, kingdom after kingdom. They put them down and brought back immense wealth, elephant loads of gold and jewelry and diamonds they brought back as gifts from other kings. It was a sign that they have surrendered. And Rajasuya yajna is to be performed. The only kingdom which was not touched was that of the Kauravas, because they are brothers. You don't go touch them. But they were invited as guests to be a part of the Rajasuya, not as outside guests, but as household. So they could not refuse. Duryodhana had to travel along with Bhishma, Drona and the 100 Dududus. Except Dhritarashtra, because of his blindness, everybody else travelled. And when they walked into Indraprastha, when they saw the glory of the place, Duryodhana's heart caught fire. He couldn't bear it anymore. You send them into a wax palace, they don't die. You send them into a desert, they turn it into paradise. His heart started burning, and now he is doing Rajasuya. In one generation, only one king can perform Rajasuya. That means Duryodhana's thing is out in his life. It's not out for now. In his life, it's out, unless Yudhishthira is dead. So immediately, that is the only ambition now. The moment he walked into the city, he thought they will be living in some ramshackle place. When he walked into a glorious city, he couldn't bear it anymore. And Rajasuya yajna happened, or happening well. All the kings have assembled. In the meantime, just before this, Jarasandha, the king of Magadha, who has been Krishna's enemy continuously, who burned down Mathura, and because of it, Krishna moved to Dwaraka. Jarasandha had captured 99 kings and put them in the dungeons because he was planning to do another kind of yajna where he wants to sacrifice 100 Kshatriya kings. So 99 he captured. He just needed one more to perform. So Krishna said, if he performs this yajna, 100 kings will die at a time and your Rajasuya will not succeed, and anyway Jarasandha is not going to accept, and you cannot fight his army with yours. Your army is not yet big enough to fight Jarasandha's army. So we must kill Jarasandha one way or the other. One thing is, I owe it to him that he must be dead already, but somehow because I moved west, I kind of forgot about it. I owe it to him, and if you want your Rajasuya to be successful, he has to be removed. So how to kill Jarasandha? He is a mighty king and quite an indomitable human being. So Bhima, Arjuna and Krishna, disguised as Brahmanas, traveled to Magadha. As in those days, Brahmanas naturally found welcome in any city, they were welcomed. They said they want to meet the king. The king gave them an audience. Then they said, Bhima wants to wrestle with Jarasandha. Jarasandha was known to be a great wrestler, and his birth was a different kind of birth, in the sense, Jarasandha's father did not have children, so he went to a sage and asked for a blessing. The sage gave him a fruit, and a mango fruit, and said, you give this fruit to your wife, she will bear for you a son. He had two wives. He loved both of them, and both of them were together when he came with the fruit. So he suddenly did not want to decide to which one to give. So it was very natural for him to cut the fruit and give two halves to both the wives. Both of them, when they delivered half a baby each. This distortion of a baby split in the center, he was terrified and they wanted to immediately do away with this, and these two pieces of an infant were given to a maid to go and discard in the forest, to be buried. They don't want the people to know that such a monstrosity has happened in the palace. They don't want anybody to know. Secretly go and bury it. But the maid took it to the forest, instead of burying, just threw it there and came on, because the labor of digging, why waste it? Some wild animal will eat it anyway. Then a cannibalistic tribe to which a Rakshasi belonged to, her name was Jara. She came and she saw these two pieces of flesh, picked it up, wrapped it in her, this thing, and went deeper into the forest to eat. But when she wrapped these two pieces of the infant in her clothing and walked, suddenly the child started crying. These two got enjoined and the little infant was crying. She picked up this little baby. Never before she had handled such a tender piece of life. She looked at this and she couldn't eat it. If it was little bigger, she would have eaten it. This was too tender, too vulnerable and helpless. She could not eat, and her own maternal instincts would not let her do that. And she held the child, and then when she realized this has come from the palace, she found a person to take this back to the king. When a wonderful baby boy came home from two pieces of flesh, he was so happy, the king was so happy that he named his son after this Rakshasi. So he called his son Jarasandha, one who was put together by Jara. And Jarasandha was a great king. Only thing is, he's just on the wrong side of the story. A very just and capable king, a very strong king, strong in every sense. But he hates Krishna, so he's on the wrong side of our story. So when these three Brahmanas arrived, he welcomed them. When they said Bhima wants to wrestle with him, they did not reveal their identity. He looked at them, sized them up, he looked at Arjuna and said, "Well, you are an archer, you are not a Brahmin, aren't you? An archer's hands will be visibly so. It'll be calloused in a certain way that anybody will know that he's an archer." And he also noticed that he said, "You're ambidextrous, who are you?" Arjuna could fight or use his bow and arrow with the same accuracy with both his hands. So he was ambidextrous. So one of the names given to him is Savyasachi. That is, he could use both his hands to fight. He was not… See, if you can use only one hand, this is the only way you can do, you will be hugely crippled in a battle. Somebody is here, you have to turn around. Now he's not like that, he goes like this, he goes like this. That makes him all the more capable. So he said, "You're ambidextrous, who are you?" The only other archer that I know who is ambidextrous is Arjuna. I have not met him. For sure Arjuna wouldn't come dressed as a Brahmin. Anyway, you have come as guests, and he welcomed them, gave them a place in the palace. He said, "Are you sure you can wrestle with me?" Because he is a wrestler who is generally considered matchless. There were two kinds of wrestling matches going on in those days. One is as a sport, where once you put a man down, it's over. Another is a death sport, where you have to end a man in the wrestling ring. Only one man leaves the ring in the end. Two people never walk out, only one man does. If you leave him injured and don't kill him, that is the worst thing you can do to him, you must kill him. So they were asking for the second variety of wrestling. Bhima wanted to wrestle with you as a death sport, not as a simple sport. But still, Jarasandha kept them as his guests, treated them very well, with fabulous hospitality. And wrestling was fixed. After a few days of hospitality, every day in the late afternoon wrestling started and went on for 2.5 to 3 hours till both the wrestlers were exhausted. And they went back, they dined together, they drank together, they partied together. And again next afternoon, they went back to the ring. It went on for many days. Krishna told Bhima, "Stretch the wrestling little more. Hospitality is too good here." What is our problem? If you can last in the ring, we have no problem, we're really enjoying this place. It went on for many, many days. And then they said, "Okay, it's time to go back." They told Bhima to go all the way. But going all the way with Jarasandha is not going to be easy because he is going all the way too. They fought bitterly. Whatever Bhima did, he is not able to kill Jarasandha. Bhima is a much younger man, much stronger man, but he is not able to take his life. 26 days and 3 hours they fought. Krishna said, "It's enough, we must end it." Then they decided with wrestling they cannot kill each other. So they took up mace. However you hit him, Jarasandha won't die, he just sits up again and again. Because he's an older man, he was little more exhausted than Bhima, but he is able to take every kind of beating. And Krishna told Bhima, tomorrow is Amavasya. On the Amavasya night, Jarasandha is going to acquire superhuman powers. He will kill you. Don't think he is treating us so well for nothing. He is treating us so well so that we enjoy the hospitality. He is waiting for Amavasya. When Amavasya comes, he is unbearable and on that day he will kill you, which is tomorrow. Tomorrow you will be dead unless you kill him today. So Bhima went all out. Whatever he did, he couldn't. Then he looked at Krishna, what to do? Because if you don't kill him today, tomorrow Bhima will die. Then Krishna took a leaf. How wonderful, I have a leaf, but I don't like to tear a leaf. Krishna tore the leaf into two. Bhima knew of Jarasandha's birth, how that two pieces of an infant were enjoined. So he immediately understood and put one leg on Jarasandha's left leg and tore him into two pieces and threw him apart. But to his amazement and everybody else's amazement, these two pieces rolled together, again came together and sat up. Then Bhima now knew his death is imminent. Even if you tear him apart, he is coming together, tomorrow I will die. With fearful eyes, he looked at Krishna. Krishna took another leaf, tore it and threw it this way and this way. Next time again, Jarasandha was exhausted, but he will not die. He is just waiting for tomorrow. So Bhima again tore him apart and threw the right piece of the body to the left and the left portion of the body to the right. And the people were waiting. Again the bodies will come together and sit up. Nothing happened. Jarasandha's son, Krishna coronated him as the king and included him into the Rajasuya Yajna, released the 99 kings who were imprisoned in Jarasandha's dungeons, and they travelled back with these 99 kings with a great amount of wealth, half the gold that Jarasandha had, they loaded it up. Jarasandha had a huge collection or a huge army of elephants. They took half the elephant army and loaded it up with half the wealth that Jarasandha had. And these 99 kings with this immense wealth, they came back to Indraprastha and now Rajasuya Yajna is happening. There is not enough space in the treasury of Indraprastha to keep the wealth that these people have brought back. It is stored in heaps and heaps everywhere. Duryodhana and his clan have come, everybody has assembled, the yajna is to happen. In the yajna, one person is to be a guest of honor. So Bhishma, being the eldest, Yudhishthira came prostrated in front of him and said, Pitama, you must tell me, who should be the guest of honor for this? In my mind, I feel it's you, but I leave it to you. Who should be the guest of honor? Bhishma said, of all the men who are here, I may be the eldest, but the greatest is definitely Krishna, because He is only a man for namesake, so naturally he must be the guest of honor. The moment he said this, Shishupala, Krishna's cousin brother, stood up in rage. Shishupala is the king of Chedi. He was known as the bull of Chedi because he was an extraordinarily huge-built man. And there is a string of problems in the past with Shishupala. There are many things, but one important thing is Shishupala wanted to marry Rukmini. He was set to marry her. Rukmini's brother, Rukma, promised Shishupala that he will give his sister in marriage to his friend, who is Shishupala. Instead of simply conducting a marriage, they called for a Swayamvara. A Swayamvara means the girl can choose, but they set up a fake Swayamvara. The brother has already made the choice and now they've set up a Swayamvara just to satisfy everybody, just using the Swayamvara as a political event. But who she is to marry is already fixed. And Rukmini is in love with Krishna, whom she has not seen. She has heard about him and fallen in love with him. She's never seen him. So Krishna knew that this woman loves him and he did not want to allow this tradition of setting up fake Swayamvaras. So he went in, abducted the princess, and they gave him chase. Rukma, the brother, and Shishupala, both of them, he tranced them and shaved Rukma's head just to shame him, because he continued to pursue him all the way. He disarmed him, he didn't want to kill him because he's Rukmini's brother. The only way to stop him was he disarmed him, shaved his head, shaved his eyebrows, shaved his mustache with his sword and sent him back. The shame, a Kshatriya's mustache and eyebrows shaved means that is the worst thing that you can do to a man. He did that and left, and he defeated Shishupala. When Shishupala was young, for no reason, out of his arrogance, he was abusing Krishna. At one point, Krishna got little hot and he said, "This is not needed." Shishupala's mother, knowing who Krishna was, she begged Krishna, "Promise me that you will never kill Shishupala." Then Krishna said, "Even if he abuses me 100 times, I will not do it." So today, the moment Bhishma said, "Krishna will be the guest of honor," Shishupala got inflamed. All the old anger and shame he has in him burst out and he stood up and started abusing Krishna. Bhishma intervened and said, "See, there is no need to abuse the guest of honor in an event like this. It is me who chose him, not Yudhishthira." Then he started abusing Bhishma. He said vulgar things about him and he continued to abuse Krishna. Krishna just sat there smiling and counting. Then when it came to 99, he said, "See, I promised your mother that even if you abuse me 100 times, I will not kill you. There's just one more left for you. You do one more, you'll be dead." But Shishupala was in no mood or condition to listen. He was frothing in his mouth and abusing. So Krishna took the deadly famous Sudarshana Chakra. He learned to use this disc. It goes to say in Mahabharata, Krishna, when Jarasandha attacked him and he had to leave Mathura, he went up a mountain, met a sage who was working with metallurgy. And this sage, who belonged to a particular tribe, taught him how to extract the hardest kind of metal not known till that time, from a reddish-brown rock. So, he learned this and he extracted this metal. Till then, all the arms were made of brass. So for the first time, Krishna made a discus with steel or iron. So, he learned to use the discus in such a way that all kinds of magical powers have been attached to it. He let loose his disc and it sliced off Shishupala's head. And many other friends of Shishupala and people who resented the killing of Jarasandha, they all drew their swords. The Pandavas were unarmed, but then people who were for Pandavas, they outnumbered those who drew the swords and they kind of contained it, but Rajasuya Yajna, which should have happened beautifully, turned kind of ugly. This is the greatest event in a king's life. It turned ugly. One thing is, Krishna had to kill his own cousin. Another thing is, it was on the verge of an outbreak of violence. It was Krishna's Yadava soldiers who mainly contained the situation on that day. Otherwise, right there, mass killing would have happened. So after the Rajasuya Yajna is over, when all the other guests left, Yudhishthira particularly requested, as it's his nature, for his cousin brothers to stay back for a few more days, be our guests. It's been such a long time, we've been missing all the bad blood. A good man and a good man and a good man. When the Rajasuya Yajna happened, it is part of being family that everybody takes up some responsibility. If your uncles and aunts and cousins come, you can't treat them like guests. You have to give them some responsibility so that they feel like it's their home. As a part of this, it's more a nominal thing. Some of them will take it up seriously, for some it is a nominal thing. Even today, this practice is there in Indian weddings. There's a nominal responsibility. Some people will take genuine responsibility, others will take just nominal responsibility. So, when Yudhishthira asked Krishna, what responsibility should I give Duryodhana? Krishna smiled and said, make him the keeper of your treasury. So, Yudhishthira innocently gave him the responsibility of managing the treasury for those few days. Duryodhana walked into the treasury, it was heaps of wealth, heaps of everything that he could not dream of. This is it, that fixed it. If there was not enough jealousy in him, that one thing fixed it. When he saw this wealth, he couldn't bear it. And Yudhishthira asked him to stay back and enjoy the hospitality for a few more days. And because this whole function happening, people could not have a good look at the palace and everything, now they were taking them on a tour of the Maya Sabha, which was a magical hall that nobody had ever seen till then, because this architect came from elsewhere, a Maya. Crystal screens which looked like glass, and he created crystal clear water pools. He created floorings which looked like water pools, He created water pools which looked like flooring. One had to really watch out. And it happened, Duryodhana is not somebody who'll take a tour from somebody, you know. Have you seen this? Have you seen this happening? If you take a group of people on a tour, usually women, children and a few men will walk with a guide. There are some men who cannot walk with a guide. Yes, haven't you seen it? So Duryodhana cannot go on a conducted tour. It's impossible for him to walk listening to somebody, okay, this is this, this is this, this is this. He cannot do that. He is a king and he walked and walked into a crystal stream. As if that was not bad enough, he walked in another place and walked into the pool, fell into the pool. Draupadi, who was passing by, and Nakula, Sahadeva, Arjuna and Bhima who were sitting there, Draupadi burst into peals of laughter. And the other four brothers also could not contain their glee and they also laughed. Yudhishthira sternly looked at them, brothers controlled the laughter, but the woman, she laughed. Initially, just laughed, after that laughed. And as if that was not enough, she said, what can you expect of a blind man's son? Full-fledged rage, jealousy, envy, anger, fear turned into a full-blooded rage. He looked at her and if her husbands were not there, he would have ripped her apart. He went back, burning in shame. On the way back, he did not eat for many days and he said he wants to die, he wants to commit suicide. He said, I cannot bear this shame that their city has grown like this, they've become wealthy and now they've done Rajasuya Yajna, I cannot do it in my life and the woman laughed at me, I will die. So he went back in the palace, sat down. For many weeks he did not eat, he did not shower, he did not clean his body, he did not change his clothes, he just sat like a madman. Dhritarashtra became very worried that his son is going insane. Whatever anybody said, he was in no mood to listen, he was just insane. He wants to die because he does not know how to correct the situation. Then Shakuni steps in. He says, what you cannot do with the sword, you could do with guile. You are a foolish Kshatriya, always thinking about the sword, always thinking about poison, always thinking about killing. There are other ways to do things. And he pulled out these two things. These are my father's bones. These will roll as I want. Actually, these do. You ask me whichever number you want, I'll get you. The dharma of those days is, if you invite a Kshatriya either for a duel or for a game of dice, he cannot say no, he has to come. And Shakuni said, Yudhishthira has a weakness for game of dice, let us invite him for a game of dice. I will play for you. And Yudhishthira has a great appetite for the game and has absolutely no clue how to play. And we will get the kingdom out of them in the game of dice. Don't worry, all their wealth, everything, we'll get it out of them. You just bring them here, rest I will take care. Duryodhana suddenly new life coursed through him, showered, ate, changed his clothes, again full of vigor, went up to his father and said, "Father, we must invite the Pandavas for a game of dice." The moment Bhishma heard this dastardly plan, he stepped in and he said, "No way." For the first time, Duryodhana revolted openly against Bhishma. He said, "You are an old man, your place is not here. All the people of your generation are there where they should be. Your place is not here. You don't understand the politics of the day. You are an archaic person. You leave it to me." For the first time, he was kind of brushed aside. Till now, nobody had ever spoken in any depreciating terms about Bhishma. For the first time, this young boy or young man pushed him aside. Everybody was aghast, but nobody has the courage now because he's the king now. Nobody has the courage to say anything to him. So, Dhritarashtra said he doesn't like the idea, but he likes it. Sent the invitation to the Pandavas. Yudhishthira, a good man and a good man and a good man, our brothers are inviting us. They just came as our guests. It is our dharma to go as their guests. Bhima said, "We would be utterly stupid to go back to that place and play a game of dice with them. They got something up their sleeve. They'll once again try to burn us down, they'll do something." Yudhishthira said, "No, our dharma is, our brothers have invited us as a king. When they have called me for a game of dice, I cannot say no, and he likes to play, but though he does not know how to play." Journeyed back to Hastinapur. For the first time, in full regal glory, five brothers, their queen and the whole paraphernalia, they went back. Bharatam Mahabharatam Dharma Adharma Sangharshanam Pakshi Prani Manava Cha Deva Dharma Adharma Panchalika Jnana Prabhasita Divya Jivam Sarve Sarva Maha Amritam Sarve Sarva Maha Amritam Bharatam Duryodhana wanted to build an equally good assembly hall for the game of dice. So he hired the local artists and built a horribly garish hall, trying to make it very beautiful. He made it so garish, even his own brothers did not like the hall, though they were very poor taste. But he was so eager to impress, he did not want to have the game of dice in the old palace, he wanted a new hall. So they built their hall, got things ready, but the Pandavas, one mistake they did was Krishna had gone back to Dwaraka, they never bothered to inform him. They came here by themselves, because after all they're visiting their brothers. But the game of dice came. The Pandavas sat down. Only Yudhishthira plays. And when they sat down, in the full assembly of the court, the audience, to watch the game, Duryodhana came and sat down, but away from the dice board. People looked in little bit of surprise, and Duryodhana announced, "Shakuni, my uncle, will play for me." A gasp went up in the assembly, because everybody knew Shakuni was an uncanny player of dice. All the time, this is all he's doing, and they know, everybody knows their occult charged dice that he carries. People spoke to each other, "This is not fair. Yudhishthira won't last, he will lose. So Yudhishthira said, I thought I was playing with you. So Duryodhana said, why brother, why are you afraid? My uncle is playing for me, what is the problem? We are blood. Why? Have you lost your courage? Yudhishthira says, no, it's okay, we'll play. So, it started. What are you going to… what are you going to… what's the wager? Okay, this many elephants, this many horses, this, that. Every time Shakuni rolled, he got what he wanted. Every time he said, okay, I won. Every time the roll of dice was heard, the blind king, Dhritarashtra, is having Sanjaya, his assistant, next to him, who is giving him a commentary of the game. Every time he hears the dice, who won? That's all he asks. This one thing he could not contain, that when the dice rolled, he wants to know who won. Every time Shakuni won, Shakuni won, Shakuni won, Yudhishthira lost all his wealth, everything in the treasury, he lost his army. Then it came down, he took down his personal jewels, all his brothers took down their personal whatever ornaments they were wearing. These ornaments are not valued for their money value, they're valued as their prestige. So it's almost like dismantling everything that they are. Then everything is lost. He wagered the kingdom, lost it. People were looking at it in dismay. Bhishma stood up and said, stop the game. Duryodhana shouted him down, it's not for you to stop the game. He told, father, you cannot stop the game, this is a fair game we are playing. As per the dharma of the Kshatriyas, we are playing the game, nobody can stop the game. If Yudhishthira is afraid of playing the game, he may leave. Nobody else can stop the game. Yudhishthira is not afraid of anything. He knows how to walk into any trap in the world. A man like that is not afraid. He lost the kingdom. Then Shakuni taunted, I'll give you one more chance. Your brother Nakula, you put him on the wager, you can win back your kingdom and everything. He wagered, Nakula lost. Then he lost Sahadeva, then he lost Arjuna, then finally he lost Bhima. Then, so this is your chance, Yudhishthira, you put yourself on the wager and you can win back everything, we'll give back everything to you. He rolled the dice, lost himself. Then the Kauravas roared in joy. Pandavas are our slaves now, they have to take instructions from us. Take off your upper garment. The symbolism of slavery is, a slave cannot wear an upper garment. So, they took down their upper garments. All the brothers stood in shame. They were kings just 15 minutes ago. Now they stood there, partially disrobed as slaves, not knowing what to do next. Then Karna suggested, why you can wager your wife, your queen. Draupadi was not there in the court. That was the time of the month for her, so she was in private quarters. They tempted him. This is your chance, you can win back your brothers, your kingdom and everything. Your queen versus the rest. If you win, you take everything and go. You will win, of course, this is your lucky time. He wagered his wife, lost. Immediately, Duryodhana roared like a lion. He said, Draupadi, she is our slave, go bring her. They sent a messenger. A male messenger was not allowed into the queen's chambers, particularly when she was the way she was. When he was turned back, Duryodhana told his brother, Dushasana, he said, go, just get her. Who is she to say whether she can come or not come? Just go get her. Dushasana went, broke the doors open, went inside and said, come. When Draupadi said, how dare you walk into my room, he just caught her by the hair and dragged her. Her clothes were stained in blood. She said, I am in a single garment and I'm in this condition, how can you touch me and how can you take me like this? He said, you are our slave, it doesn't matter what. And he just dragged her through the corridors of the palace held by hair and brought her and put her down in the king's court. A few people stood up and said, this is not dharma. Never before in the court of a king a woman has been treated like this. But Duryodhana said, this is the law, she is a slave, I can treat her whichever way I want. Draupadi sat up in rage and pleaded with Bhishma. Bhishma just put his head down and Draupadi asked a question. Did Yudhishthira wager me first or himself first? They said Yudhishthira wagered himself first. Then she said, he has no right to wager me, he's already a slave, he's lost himself. How can he put me on the stake? Then this question was raised and Bhishma, being the ultimate judge of all these dharmas, he was asked, now that Yudhishthira had already lost himself, can he lose his wife? Bhishma gravely said, he's such an expert in law. He said, according to the dharma, even a slave has right over his wife. So as a slave, he has wagered her. So it is still technically correct. So the law, which was for the well-being of the human being, became technical to a point where humanity was lost, legality was established. The cruelest scene that you could see happened right there. And as if this was not enough, they started taunting her. According to the ancient law, if a king or a kshatriya had no children, the woman could bear children from other men up to 3. That's the reason why Kunti stopped at 3. The law is, with her husband's permission, she can bear children with 3 more men if she had the permission of the husband. But if she went to the 5th man, she is considered a whore. So Karna said, she is gone to the 5 men, she is living with 5 men, she is not a wife, she is a whore. We can do whatever we want with her. And he told Draupadi, why 5? Now you have 100 brothers to take. And Duryodhana said, come Panchali, sit on my lap. Bhima roared. He said, today you said, you pointed at your thigh and asked Panchali to sit here. One day I will break your thigh, I will smash your thigh and kill you. Then they said, okay, we will talk about killing later. Right now disrobe the woman. Dushasana went to pull the clothes. Then, at this moment, what was mild turned wild. what was civilized became brutal. Gentlemen turned into beasts, those who witnessed this moment. Draupadi, who was helpless, turned into rage, and Krishna, as he had promised Draupadi, at that moment ensured that she was not disrobed in his own way. And when they saw this miracle happening, that even though their intentions were to go all the way, they could not. Dhritarashtra, his heart was seized by fear. For the first time, he spoke and he said, "The game is over and everybody gets back what they had before the game. Yudhishthira is still the king of Indraprastha, let them go back in honor." Duryodhana, Karna, Dushasana and all their clan were very, very angry. Duryodhana left the Sabha. So Pandavas got back everything, their kingdom, their freedom, their wealth, but with a huge burden of shame on their head. They put their heads down and started walking towards Indraprastha. But once again, Shakuni and Karna and Duryodhana sat down and said, they got Dhritarashtra into a corner and they said, "This is not fair. We have to invite them for one more game, just one more. With this game, we will not do anything like this. Otherwise, this is not fair. What was a fair game, you turned it into an unfair result. Now the game is just this. If they win, we will go to the forest. They can have the whole empire. If they lose, they must go to the forest for 12 years and live incognito for one more year. After 13 years, anyway they can have their kingdom back. But there must be some kind of prize for the game we played. We are not taking it away, we'll keep their kingdom well till they come back." Dhritarashtra once again showed who he is and called the Pandavas back. Messengers went to call them back. The brothers, all the four of them in unison said, "No." But Yudhishthira said, "This is my dharma, they're calling me back." And he went back. Obviously, he lost the game and they gave up their king's clothes, wore simple garment and left for the forest. This horrific incident, which was perpetrated in the court of the Kuru, turned gentle beings into beasts. Bhima, the joyful, playful, ever mischievous Bhima, transformed himself into a beastly Bhima. The one vow he took is to shatter the thigh of Duryodhana. Another vow he took that he will drink the blood of Dushasana. And Draupadi took a vow till Dushasana's blood is brought for her, she will not tie her hair. She left her hair loose. He held her by the hair, she said, "Till blood from his heart is smeared on my hair, till then I will not tie my hair." And all the brothers took the vow all the four at least, that they will kill every Kaurava. But Bhima said, no, it's my thing. I'm going to kill every one of them, 100 of them. Draupadi displayed her strength. A young woman who was married and a queen enjoying her life suddenly turned into a rage. And she also displayed her strength. When this happened, and when Dhritarashtra kind of rolled back what was lost in the dice game, he told Draupadi, what do you want? Whatever you want, you ask. She said, I want the freedom of my husbands. Dhritarashtra said, granted, they are free men. She said, they must have their kingdom back. He said, granted, yes. Then he said, ask for one more thing. She said, it is not wise for a human being to be greedy. This all I want. Dhritarashtra asks, don't you want anything for yourself? Ask something for yourself. She's still not free. She said, I don't want anything, willing to be a slave. Let these men who staked me in the gambling thing, let them be free, let them be kings, I have loved them. But it doesn't matter, I don't want to ask for the third boon. That is when Dhritarashtra released the whole thing. When this happened, the Kauravas, Karna, Shakuni are totally disappointed. So Karna said, such great Kshatriyas can only be saved by a woman. They got away cheaply. A woman has to save them. Brave men these are. That was the taunt which kind of brought them back again, second time, to lose again and go to the forest. Pandavas have been turned away not only from what was their legacy, also from what they earned and built. So all with roll of dice, not as it should have been by battle or otherwise. Their inheritance and their hard-earned kingdom, both lost in a matter of an hour or two. Now they prepare to leave for the forest. So this is both literally true and also metaphorically true in the sense. Now, from civilized ways of handling life, the whole situation is moving into the ways of the wild, where might is the only right thing to do. Everybody gets the point. That's the only way to go about from now on. So it's a transition from very properly laid out rules and everybody talking about rules to turning into the wild. Still, a couple of people are trying to bring the rule of law, but generally it is moving towards the ways of the wild. So when they start leaving, so being dressed in king's robes, dressed in simple clothes of a hermit, they started walking out of Hastinapur. People gathered and wailed because a large number of people loved Pandava brothers, particularly Yudhishthira, because he had earned this reputation of being the most even-handed person that they had seen as a ruler. And when they left, a lot of people wanted to go with them to the forest. If you're going into the forest and a lot of people come with you, it's not of help, it's a lot of trouble. So it took a lot of convincing to tell them, you will not be help, you will be more trouble, please don't… We already are enough trouble. We don't want to take on you, please stay away. But people walked with them for miles behind them, but they were turned away. Except Dhaumya, their personal priest, their family priest, and a few Brahmins, a little over a dozen people, went with them to take care of the ritual part of their life. So they went into the Kamakyavana, a nearby forest. Nearby means in a day's travel, by evening they reached, and they kind of camped near the river. Now this dozen and odd Brahmins who have come with them, they set up their rituals and stuff to support the family. Nobody spoke to anybody. Everybody was distraught. But Yudhishthira looked around the forest and started enjoying the forest. So, others were grief-stricken because they've lost everything. But Yudhishthira looked at the greenness of the forest, the birds chirping, everything beautiful, far more beautiful than the palace, for sure. And he started going around with a smile around his face. Looking at the smile upon his face, Bhima and Draupadi got incensed. Particularly the woman is especially angry. One thing is what's happened to her. Another thing is losing the comfort of the palace and the clothing and the works. A woman is more dependent on those things than a man generally, just because of the very way she's made. Indoors or a building is a lot more important for the feminine than the masculine. In fact, house building must have come up only when men started taking women with them. Otherwise, there would be no house building, there would be… Who is to clean the house? We would rather sleep under the tree. So, Draupadi was grief-stricken, in a rage, thirsting for revenge. Bhima always resonates with her. Whatever she wants, that's his mission. Others are quiet. Sahadeva never said a word for weeks on end. But Yudhishthira couldn't help enjoying the forest. Then the next day they moved a little deeper in and tried to set up some kind of a camp for themselves. But the problem was, within a few days, the grains and other things ran out. They are Kshatriyas, they can go out hunting, kill a deer or a boar and eat it. But the dozen and odd Brahmins, to feed them became a big challenge. So, they were really struggling and they begged the Brahmins, please go back, we cannot feed you. Particularly Draupadi was very pained by this because she's lived in Indraprastha and feeding people, giving is a certain kind of joy. And she enjoyed it so much. Whenever possible, Brahmins always, whoever comes to the town were fed and fed without question. This has always been the culture in India. Food is one thing, anywhere you go, somebody will be serving food. In all the ancient cities of India, you don't have to go to a restaurant, you just go somewhere, they will be serving simple meals but good meals. Anybody can eat. Thousands of people go and eat. Even today, many temples, particularly In South India still, North India I think generally, only in Haridwar, Rishikesh it is there, rest of the places it's gone. In southern India, in Karnataka and other places, any number of people, the whole town can go and eat every day. Nobody will ask, why are you coming and eating here every day? You can eat. Food is one thing, they'll not ask a question because food is seen as something so fundamental. If somebody comes to eat, you should not deprive him because he needs it. He wouldn't have come if he doesn't need it. You can't put it in your pocket and go. You can't take it, but you can eat whatever you want. This is the tradition. So she's been maintaining this, and now when she cannot feed these Brahmins who have accompanied them, she was very pained. Sage Vyasa came that way and he told her, it's best that she prays to the sun god because there is a possibility of organizing food through him. With appropriate rituals and prayers, sun god appears and she says, this is all I want. I'm not asking for my kingdom back. When he says, what do you want, a boon? She says, nothing else. I'm a queen, but I'm not asking for jewels or clothes or this or that. But I want to see that whoever comes as guests to us, they should not go hungry. And because they are who they are, people keep coming to see them. When they come, I must be able to feed them. So, the sun god gave her a bowl and said, with this bowl, whoever comes, you can serve food. Whatever you wish, you can serve out of this bowl. It'll just keep coming endlessly. Only thing is, you must be the last one to eat. The moment you eat, for that day it will stop. Next day, it'll come again. So blessed with this, guests and the Brahmins were not a problem, they were feeding. We have a beautiful place along the stream. If we sat there, it doesn't matter who you are, you cannot help enjoying it and becoming a part of it. Different people may take different amounts of time to see the beauty of what it is and the comfort and the joy of what it is to be there. But everybody at some point will see that it is actually too good. When you want to leave, you don't want to leave, that's how it will be. So slowly everybody fell into place and all of them started enjoying the process of living in the forest, going out and getting food and doing this, arranging that. No burdens of running a nation, no intrigue of Hastinapur palace, no fighting your cousin brothers constantly, just life was good. Fantastic vacation in the wild. Initially, it started becoming like that for them. So as they started relaxing into the forest life, many sages and saints started visiting them. And when these sages came, they welcomed them. Now they had inexhaustible amount of food, so they fed them. And Yudhishthira allowed to listen and converse with the sages. He never had this opportunity like this. Because at the age of 15 or 16, he walked into Hastinapur, then all the training was about arms and, bearing arms and administration, and after that it's been a continuous Cold War. And then building a city and all this stuff. He really started enjoying this and he spent full days and throughout the night he sat with them and spoke and listened and became more and more joyful and completely almost forgetting why he's here and what he's supposed to do next. It's of course 13 years away, but others started fearing he's relaxing too much. When someone begins to enjoy the space so much, he may renounce his purpose of why he's there altogether. Duryodhana is very happy with the result they have achieved, but still nervous. Because what if they go into the forest and rethink the whole thing? What the hell, it's our kingdom. Just because we lost a game of dice, should we stay in the forest? And if they gather Panchala army, Yadava army and come back to fight, he is nervous. So he sent spies to travel with the Pandavas or to be around in the forest, keeping himself informed what is their condition, how are they doing, are they suffering enough. It's a very important issue for him, are they suffering enough? But when the spies started saying these guys are really enjoying their forest life, particularly Yudhishthira seems to be ecstatic. Nobody ever saw him so happy being a king. Now he's so happy. Started worrying Duryodhana, if they're so happy, what are they up to? What's coming? So he sent spies to Panchala, he sent spies to Dwaraka, find out, is there any alignment happening? Are they going to surprise us in some way? Because now all rules have been broken, nobody may talk dharma, suddenly they may pounce upon them. When his spies came back and said nothing, no sign of anything, they are resigned for 13 years of being out. He kind of relaxed a bit. But if they're so happy in the forest, it is better their life ends in the forest. See, when somebody is so happy, why disturb that happiness? Best their life ends in the forest. And of course they need some help. So Duryodhana and Karna sat down and planned that they will go for a hunt in the same forest where the Pandavas are. And their plan is to find Pandavas when they're not armed and hunt them down like wild animals. So they planned this, but they can't leave without Dhritarashtra's permission for such a mission, which also means Bhishma's okay. So Bhishma got wind of it, Vidura got wind of it, and both of them kind of started working on Dhritarashtra that this is not possible. We have taken away everything that was theirs, stripped them down to nothing and sent them to the forest, at least let's leave them there. There is no need to go after them. But Duryodhana and Karna are wanting to go for the hunt. So Vidura went a mile longer than he normally goes with Dhritarashtra. He really gave it to him, because nobody else can talk to him like that. Vidura being his brother and having been his wisdom all his life, right from his childhood, Vidura has been an able support for him. So he could talk to him in a way that nobody else could address him. Vidura told him, this is unbecoming of us. Already the house is so full of sin that I cannot even eat in this place. But now, going after them in the forest and trying to hunt them down, as these boys intend to do, is simply out of question. This cannot be allowed. I am telling you, your boys will not keep quiet, they will go on doing something. You do one thing, you call them back, give them their Indraprastha, half the kingdom, ask them to forget everything and go. Because the 5 Pandavas are sons of Devas and they're hugely equipped, and above all, the whole sympathy is with them. The maximum number of kings sympathize with them, and more than anything, Krishna is with them. If we fight a battle, it is a sure death for all of us. Don't have illusions about this. And Believe me, whatever it may look like right now, when it really comes to battle, Arjuna will stand up like a god and defeat everybody. Do not underestimate this. It's best you call them tomorrow and give back the kingdom, because your boys are planning a misadventure in the forest. Dhritarashtra listens to all this and he says, "Are you never tired of praising the Pandavas? I can clearly see you're prejudiced in favor of Pandu's sons against mine. How can I ask my son to give back what he has won? He's won it according to the dharma, he's won it in the dice game." Vidura said, "You know very well the dice are loaded. You know very well Shakuni is a cheat. And you know very well Yudhishthira doesn't have a clue how to play a dice game. Knowing all this, you allowed. You are talking about dharma, don't utter the word dharma in your mouth. You lost it completely. The day you sanctioned the wax palace, burning down of the wax palace, that day itself you lost all your credibility. Now you're completely gone. If you want to revive anything for yourself and for your children and for the Kuru lineage, just call them back. Give them their portion. Let your boys have your portion. Let them live in peace. And we can somehow take some kind of commitment from the Pandavas that they will never wage a war against us. That will leave us in safety. We will live… your boys will live their full term of life. Otherwise, I'm telling you, your Duryodhana and the rest of them are not going to complete their life in a normal fashion. They will be dead the moment the Pandavas come back." Dhritarashtra got sick of this. Not that he had to get sick of anything, he's always been sick one way or the other. He said, "I have had enough of you. If you love the Pandavas so much, if Pandu's sons mean so much more to you than my own, you go, I have no use for you." Vidura said, "That is the best thing you could have done to me." And he bowed down and he left. He made arrangements for his wife and Kunti, who were living in the house, and he left for the forest. He went joyfully into the forest and met the Pandavas. They were very happy he came. He hugged all of them, they all wept, all the emotion done. Then they asked, how come he's here? Then he said, "I've come to stay with you. It's over for me. In Hastinapur, I could never leave my brother, but now my brother asked me to go. Now there is no issue. I am free. At last I'm happy that I'm free from this sinful alignment of things that were happening there." So Vidura came, they were very, very happy. They always respected Vidura, and he was the only one who stood up and said something right in the court that day when things were going utterly wrong. But then after 2 days, Dhritarashtra could not exist without Vidura, because right from his childhood, every day, day in and day out, he's been his companion, wisdom, eyes, ears, everything for him. Suddenly he felt so lost. Then he sent messengers to Vidura and said, "Please don't do this. If you are gone, I will die. I will stop eating and I will kill myself." After much pleading, Vidura again went back to the palace. When he went back, he insisted that they must call off the hunt. So Dhritarashtra called Duryodhana and said, there is not going to be a hunt, they cannot go. Duryodhana and Karna pleaded heavily that they must go for a hunt. They're just going for fun, they're not going to do anything. They said, "You cannot go for a hunt, and if you go for a hunt, you will not go in that direction, you will have to go in the opposite direction. They are not interested in hunting here, they want to hunt here." Then sage Durvasa came to Hastinapur. Sage Durvasa is known to be a very angry man. For smallest things he'll flare up. With you, he would be very angry. With smallest things he will flare up and curse. Mahabharata and even Ramayana is full of curses from sage Durvasa. Wherever he went, if he's pleased, he will bless them. He was the one who blessed Kunti with the mantra. He is the one who blessed a series… who cursed a series of people. So sage Durvasa means everybody will be on their toes to make sure that he never gets angry. He is the one who cursed Shakuntala. Like this, a series of curses, all his… wherever he went. So sage Durvasa came when Duryodhana came to know he is coming, like it is very unusual for him, but he went outside the gates of the city. When he saw Durvasa, he went and prostrated, welcomed him in every possible way and brought him… kept him in the highest possible hospitality possible, kept him happy. And by then, he had come to know about this bowl, the Akshaya Patra that Draupadi had received from the sun god. This was burning him. They're eating well and they're entertaining guests. These things were not supposed to happen in the forest. Everybody is visiting them, one after another, and they're able to feed them well and things are going on well for them in the forest. So he wants that to go wrong. So he said, after a few days of Durvasa's stay, Duryodhana suggested, my brothers, Pandu's sons, because of some unfortunate, situations, they are in the forest. As you have blessed me, they must also receive your blessings. Please go and bless my brothers. And he sent his men to guide him to Pandavas' camp in the forest. And he made sure Durvasa is delayed on the way. Lunchtime is well over, waiting for Draupadi to eat. Durvasa has a bunch of his disciples with him, a few hundred disciples traveling with him, all of them going towards Pandava camp. Uninformed, Duryodhana has told Durvasa that he will make arrangements there, but they were not informed, made sure it's delayed. He wants Durvasa to reach there after Draupadi has eaten her food, so that they'll have nothing to serve and the man will get angry and for sure that'll be a disaster. So Durvasa and his disciples arrived at the Pandava camp after Draupadi has eaten late in the afternoon, very hungry, walking all the way from Hastinapur. And naturally, as a sage and a well-known sage for that, he's expecting a certain level of hospitality. So Pandavas welcomed him and they said, please have your ritual bath in the river and please come for food. They do not know that Draupadi is already eaten and she had eaten and the bowl is empty and food will not come. So Durvasa and his disciples were at the river having the ritual bath. Then Draupadi came to know about this and she was in great distress. There is no point asking anybody because there is nobody who can provide food in the place. There is no point distressing her husbands. What can they do? At the most they can go and hunt, but Durvasa is not going to eat meat. So she knew this curse would be a disaster for them. Already 12 years plus 1 year is big enough disaster, Durvasa may curse you for 100 years. So she called out to Krishna, "Oh Krishna, only you can save me, do something. I don't want this sage to curse us now when we are already down like this." Krishna appeared. He had promised her, "Whenever you call, I will be there." He appeared and she expressed her plight to him. What do I do? Durvasa is here with his disciples, he's hungry, he will be here any minute. I have nothing to give, I just finished eating. So, is there nothing at all? Krishna asked. She said, nothing. Then he said, show me the bowl. She had just eaten, and at that time this news came, she's yet to go and wash the bowl. There was one small tiny bit of a vegetable, a piece of a vegetable, stuck to the bowl. Krishna took that piece of vegetable, put it in his mouth. Draupadi said, what are you doing? I have eaten and you're eating a leftover from this. He closed his eyes and he said, oh, I'm so full. Then she thought, he's mocking her, that he's come. He said, I am also hungry. Why Durvasa? I am also hungry. Is there something for me? Then he eats this small piece of vegetable that is left over in the bowl and he says he's full. She said, don't be so cruel. Already I'm in great distress because these people are waiting and I have nothing and now you are doing this to me. He said, no, Panchali, I'm really full. I'm very full, and he booped. And down at the river, people who had finished their bath and were just coming for lunch, they all felt overfull in their stomach, all of them burping. They said, no, we can't eat, we don't need food. Pandavas said, no, you cannot refuse our hospitality, please come. Because they do not know all this scene. They're insisting they must come. Now, this is also a problem. When somebody is asking you to come for a meal, you cannot say no and go. So they said, we will come, you go, we will follow you. And when Pandavas came to make some arrangements, they saw Krishna. They said, Krishna, when did you arrive? He said, Draupadi invited me for lunch, so I just came. They said, the Durvasa and his disciples have come, they are also coming for lunch. Krishna said, please bring them. They didn't turn up for a few minutes. Then Nakula went down to see, nobody was there. They had all run away from that place because their stomachs were so full and they couldn't come here and say, we won't eat. So, when things were really off, they always got this kind of help which is nothing short of miraculous, not just here, in many places. When Krishna lets everything happen, when things are spilling out completely, course corrections were always done. People made judgments, why could you have not done it earlier? You could have avoided the whole situation. Why all this? Why are you coming? Why are you doing this? You could have made sure Durvasa lost his way or something. But that's not how it is. You don't interfere with everything and anything. You let it run its course. Only when it's going beyond a certain point, you pitch in. So repeatedly he said this, I am not here to continuously play the game for everybody. Everybody play your game. It's only that it should go where it needs to go. If it's not going, some corrections will be made here and there. But at every point, I cannot interfere with your life. This is more like telling you, the grace that one strives for does not mean you don't have a life to live. This does not mean you don't have to use your brains or your body. In fact, it means you have to use it much more than ever before because now you're working. You're working with a partner who is of a different nature. When you have a partner like that, you better work yourself to the limit. Oh, I have a good partner, I'll sit around. Then he won't be your partner, isn't it so? Isn't it so even with human beings? If you have a great partner and you think, oh, anyway I have a great partner, I don't have to do anything,
you won't have a partner. If you have a great partner, you will have to strive to do great things, otherwise you won't have a great partner. So this is a message that Krishna is constantly giving it to them. Yes, I am there, but you have to do it. Repeatedly, all along, this message is being given because in the name of devotion, in the name of divine, people tend to become lazy, lethargic and not exploring the full potential of who they are. So constantly he is telling them, it is your involvement and your complete involvement in every aspect of life which is most important. I am there, but you have to do what you have to do. The very Gita is just this. The very Gita is just this. Arjuna is trying to throw up his hands and say, why should I do it? Anyway, you are there, you fix it. Just do one mantra and fix it, just raise your hand and fix it. He's telling that's not it, you have to do what you have to do. Especially because I am there, you have to do more than you would normally do. Krishna takes a vow. When he comes to know what happened to Draupadi, and Draupadi cries to him, tears of bitterness, and she says, this is what they did to me. You were not there. Though you saved me at the last moment, you were not there and this is what they did to me. I cannot forget this. Till I see the blood of Dushyasana, I cannot forget this. So Krishna took a vow. Krishna said, the heavens may fall, the Himalaya may be leveled, the seas may become dry as dead men's bones, why the earth herself may burst asunder, but I will keep my oath to you. To avenge the crime against you, there will be a war to end all wars. Your eyes which shed drops of fire today will see all 100 Kauravas dead upon the battlefield. Wipe your tears, because the tears are the prerogative of the 100 widows in Hastinapur.
How did Krishna and Draupadi develop such a strong bond? Nowhere in the story have we heard about when they got to know each other.
When Drupada wishes that Draupadi should marry Krishna, Krishna knows if he simply flatly refuses, Drupada will attack him with an army because he will take it as an affront. So he comes down to Kampilya and he knows the story about the lotus flowers, Amba in the family, so he comes to check out. He knows, but he still wants to check out. He knows Amba is born here means the other two also will be here. But he wants to see, so he comes and spends time in Kampilya. And Drupada is trying to convince him that he must marry his daughter. Krishna repeatedly saying, her dream is to marry the greatest warrior in Aryavarta. So, we will find that warrior, not me. In this time, he tells Draupadi, I will not take you as my wife, but I will take you as mine. If you are willing, I will take you as my sister. We are related by blood today. I will take you as my sister, not as my wife. And any time you call me, wherever you are, whatever the situation, if you call me, I will be there. For any human being to be successful in whatever he is doing, a lot of people are successful by chance. They don't know why they're successful. That is why they live in so much insecurity and fear. They do not know why they're successful. Somehow things have fallen into place and things have worked out. The success may not even be theirs, it may be that of that age. If you were here 5,000 years ago, probably you wouldn't be like this, you wouldn't be successful maybe. In today, the very nature of technology in the age has pushed you on to a certain level of success. You may not be as competent as so many people who lived 5,000 years ago, but still you're far more successful than them simply because the very age is pushing you on. Isn't it so? Even within this world and the same time, depending upon in which country or which situation you are born, your level of success and comfort is not determined, but your level of joy and well-being is not determined by that. There your karma plays. Your karmic content will determine your sense of well-being, your sense of joy. The tribal woman in Danikandi village, who's never eaten a full stomach probably in her life, always half stomach right through, probably may know more well-being than many of you who are living in riches. Yes, I'm telling you, if you want, you go out and see. Because well-being will not come because of the age. Well-being will not come because of situation. Well-being will happen only because of you and you alone. So, Krishna gives this to Draupadi, that you can call me anytime, I'm your brother from this day. He takes this brother thing because otherwise Drupada is constantly pushing to take her as wife. So once he says she's my sister, the matter is over. So that bond is built when he stays there for more than 3 months in Kampilya, planning this Swayamvara, engineering that whole process, because he sees this family, Drupada's family is most important in the game plan of everything happening the way it needs to happen.
Why did Krishna dictate to Sadeva not to reveal his wisdom and impose the rule that he should answer a question with another question?
So why is he preventing wisdom from spreading? The wisdom of Sahadeva is not a spiritual wisdom, it is a worldly wisdom. If people feel strife, they will seek the ultimate. If I put a gun to your head and anyway I'm going to kill you, do you want 10 kilograms of gold or mukti? What do you want? Mukti. Obvious choice, isn't it? So, he understands that if strife is created, everybody will make the right choice. But with worldly wisdom, if you create comfort, a sense of comfort which will not last very long, people will make wrong choices. Sahadeva gathered worldly wisdom from an ant's meat. Father's flesh, of course, but from ant's food. Ant is worldly wise. Ants are more worldly wise than you are. Rainy season is coming in India, you will see how they will store up more than you. No, I don't think they can beat you. Somewhere else it may be winter, here it may be rain. They are hoarding all the time, they're worldly wise. So you need to understand the metaphor of the ant carrying Pandu's flesh. It's ant's wisdom. Krishna does not want this ant's wisdom to spread in the world and everybody become hoarders and think their life is fulfilled because they built a house, they got married, they bore 25 children and they got gold on their bodies and this and that, they think their life is fulfilled. He does not want that to happen. So he does not want Sahadeva's wisdom to spread in the world. So he said, you will not spread this wisdom. Your wisdom is useful only if spiritual enlightenment has happened, then you learn how to handle the material. It'll be useful to create comfort in the world. But if comfort comes without realization, comfort will become, Karl Marx said the opium of the masses. It is the opium of the masses, comfort. Religion is a comfort, not an enlightening process. Somehow Marx got it right. When he said it's the opium of the masses, he was on the dot. This is what Krishna is saying. This kind of wisdom, God will take care of me, everything will be okay, God will walk with me, this will happen. This kind of wisdom, it is a wisdom, it is true in one way. This kind of wisdom will put people to sleep, it is a great tranquilizer. Krishna wants strife, because when strife is there, people will seek truth. So he does not want Sahadeva's wisdom. Even today in India, as I already mentioned, if you call somebody a Sahadeva, it is not a positive, it is not a compliment. It is an angled bob.
I kind of like the idea of a God with love and compassion.
It's a very unpopular thing what I said.
Yeah, but the thing is, Krishna, is he regarded as a God? Is Krishna regarded as a God?
Regarded?
As a God?
Yes.
So why does he want to help people get out of procreating and living this life at a certain level? Because that sounds like for him to care about people flowering, that has to have some compassion and maybe love in that. So I'm just sort of confused, why does any God or Krishna want to help humans if they haven't got love or compassion, or that's not important?
The question is coming from a certain misunderstanding, because first of all, you assume God is compassionate because somebody has said so. You know what was the last words of Christ? You don't know? Oh Father, why have you forsaken me? Because you need to understand this. Krishna says this very clearly, expresses this. He says, now that I have come with a human body, I am subject to all the limitations of being human. Though I am capable in a different way, when I wish to, I can move into another sphere, but I am born out of a mother's womb. I will die and I will go through everything else that every other human being goes through. That is the dharma. That dharma is not made by you or me, that is a natural dharma, this is the law of nature. Once you are born as a human being, certain things will happen to you. If you were born as a tiger, certain things will anyway happen to you. Certain things you may choose, but a few things will anyway happen to you. Now you're born as a human being, your heart has to beat. You can do a lot of yoga and slow it down. If you slow it down a little bit, you wouldn't pitch so much for passion and compassion and love and all these things, because your heart is beating more than 72 times per minute. It makes you think this is the reality. If your heart was beating 35 times a minute, then you would see clearly, oh my God, was that me? Probably it will happen to most people only when they get old, when the heart is stopping. Not by yoga, but because earth is claiming them back. Many things that you did when you were 14, 15 years of age, don't you look back and say, oh my God, is this me? Was I so dumb that I had to do these things? Yes or no? If you don't think so, that means you have not grown at all, you're still only 14. Yes or no? So, there is a certain process. Once you take this body, there is a certain natural law about this process. It leaves you one end open. This is the thing about being a human. For every other creature, nature has fixed both the ends. For this one creature, only one end is fixed, the other end is open. You can do whatever you want with that. So Krishna clearly says, even for me, one end is fixed, the other end is open. And I want to see it is open for everybody else. Is this my compassion? No, this is my nature. Right now, this flower, you know, have you ever seen this flower, Darren? This is called, in different places it's called by different names. In Tamil Nadu they call it Chanbagam. Where I come from, they call it Sampige. You don't have to come this close. If you hold it like this, it's intoxicating, its fragrance. So is this flower giving out this fragrance out of its compassion for me? No, that's its nature. That's what it will do. Not because it loves me, it is fragrant to me. Or if it doesn't love you, it will give you stink. It'll do the skunk act with you and fragrance act with me because I'm enlightened. No such thing. Whoever picks it up, it's fragrant. If you have a sensitive enough nose, fragrance is all it'll give you. Not because it loves you, not because it's compassionate about you, that's its nature. So, this is the nature of an enlightened being, that he wants everybody infected. If you had flu, what would be your nature? To give it to everybody, isn't it? Whether you like it or you don't like it, whether you have such an intent or you don't have such an intent. If you breathe, you give it to everybody, isn't it? Yes or no? You sit in this hall and breathe, you give it to everyone. That's all I am also doing, that's all he also tried to do. No compassion. I don't want you to be a compassion case.